This is the Almost Timely newsletter for the week of June 30th, 2024. Content authenticity statement. About 90% of this week's newsletter was written by me, the human. You'll see screenshot outputs from generative AI in the opening section, and the country song lyrics are also AI output. There's a link at the top of the newsletter about why this kind of disclosure is important. It might be required if you're going to do business in the EU. What's on my mind this week? How to build a generative AI priming representation. Let's get a little nerdy today with generative AI and the concept of the priming representation. I can immediately hear people saying, is that even English? Yes, it is. What is a priming representation? Inside today's language and multimodal models, the things that power tools like ChatGPT, there are these pieces of the model, things called retrieval heads. When you prompt a model, the retrieval heads activate and trigger the activation of tokens throughout the model, returning the results. In concrete, tangible terms, retrieval heads are like librarians at a library. The rest of the model is the librarian. You give the librarian a request, and the librarian goes into the library and gets the materials you requested. That's what's going on, right? So far, so good. Now, the challenge with prompts is that people very often are asking for things that are either too generic or don't trigger the retrieval heads well. If you go to the librarian, ask for a book, like literally say, hey, can I get a book? The librarian will come back with a book, right? At a real library. This was what would happen. If you specify, if you specifically wanted a book on 17th century French literature, but you only asked for a book, you'd probably be irritated when the librarian handed you the complete book of baseball statistics, but it's your fault. It's your fault because you did not specify that. You just said, hey, can I get a book? That is what an awful lot of people do. They give language models incredibly generic prompts and then wonder why the machine's responses are dull and boring and generic. And they say things like, oh, AI is not creative. Well, you gave it a bad prompt. When you give the librarian almost no guidance, the librarian comes back with their best effort and it doesn't match the instructions you mentally had in your head. That's why AI underperforms for a lot of people. So with that understanding of the basics of how these models work, let's talk about a priming representation. This is the first part of the Trust Insights pair framework. When we use the word priming in the context of AI, what we're talking about is giving the right instructions, clear, complete instructions to a model to trigger the best activation sequence. It's like when you're at the library, giving the librarian a written out list of exactly what kind of books you want in great detail and precision. And with that, the librarian can go and get us exactly what we want, assuming the books are actually at the library. That's what we're going to talk about today. So what does one of these things look like? In today's modern language models, it's as simple as an outline, but there's a catch. The catch is that the model needs to be the one to generate it for it to have maximum impact. And here's why. As with the real library, our conceptual AI librarian knows the layout of the library way better than we do, understands what books are in the library and what aren't. That means that if we have the language model build our outline, it'll contain references to known books in the library, metaphorically speaking. The retrieval heads will have known activation tokens to go after. Why does this matter? Because if we want specific and accurate results with less risk of hallucination, then we are better off having the librarian tell us what it knows about a topic than for us to tell the librarian what they should know. As with real librarians, AI tries to do its best to be helpful, harmless, and truthful, which means that if we give it specific instructions, there is a chance it'll make things up. Hallucination, right? To fulfill its directives of being helpful. Okay, so a priming representation is an outline that a model makes. Great. What do you do with it? Priming representations are instructions you give to a model for a very specific task that you want to repeat, like writing song lyrics or creating analogies. If you want to do a specific task in a very exacting way, in a repeatable, reliable way, you want to build a priming representation to guide it. So let's take this out of the theoretical, right, out of the concept, and put it into practice. What does this look like? Let's use the example of writing song lyrics. Suppose you want a generative AI to help you write some song lyrics that you're going to turn into a song. How would you go about doing it? Well, the absolute worst way to do it would be to say, hey, write me a song, right? Yeah, you know what you're going to get out of that. Will the model do it? Yes. Will you get anything usable? No, probably not. So we want to get more specific. Maybe, suppose I want to write a song, an absolutely ridiculous song, maybe about the curious phenomenon that McDonald's French fries are amazing when they're very hot, but they go from great to awful in an insanely short period of time. Very specific topic. First, we should approach our model and ask what it knows about writing song lyrics, which is, again, the first part of the pair framework. We want to use the race framework as well for the initial prompt structure. So we might start off with something like, you are a Grammy award-winning singer-songwriter who specializes in writing lyrics to songs. Your lyrics have won multiple Grammys over the years, and your specialty is country music lyrics. What do you know about best practicing for writing song lyrics? That gives the model a solid start. For this demo, I'm going to be using ChatGPT's GPT-4 Omni model. You can use this process in any modern language model. Caveat, the model that you do the priming representation in is the model that you should use. You shouldn't build a priming representation in ChatGPT and then move it over to Google Gemini, because they're different libraries, right? You want to have the librarian build the outline in the library that you're working in. So here I primed it. I said, you are a Grammy award-winning songwriter, specializes in writing lyrics to songs. There's the prompt. And it spits out, tell a story, use vivid imagery, strong opening lines, simple and direct language, emotional honesty, rhyme and rhythm, chorus and verses, use of metaphor and similes, repetition, edit and revise, collaborate, right? This is good. These are solid results. Now, the next step in the process, we want to ask an augmentation question. Ideally, you should have some background in the prompt and topic area, some knowledge of it. In this case, I'm going to ask, what specific lyric writing techniques are most common and most unique in country music that aren't in other genres of music? Again, we're augmenting. We want to bring in additional details, because those first pieces of lyrics and stuff, that's pretty generic. So it says, country music has a rich tradition of unique lyric writing techniques that set it apart from other genres. Narrative storytelling, conversational tone, vivid imagery and sensory details, moral and life lessons, humor and wordplay, specific cultural references, heartfelt emotion, authenticity, relatable and universal themes, structure and repetition, autobiographical elements, evocative use of nature. Now, that's good. We've got now a lot of stuff in this conversation. Next, we want to move into the refresh question. And I've become a huge fan of contrastive prompting at this stage, basically asking a model what not to do. So in this case, I might ask the model, what are some common mistakes in lyrics writing made by less experienced country music lyrics writers? Right? And we'll get some very useful specifics. Less experienced country music lyric writers make several common mistakes: cliched phrases and themes, lack of a clear storyline, vague imagery and descriptions, inconsistent theme or tone, awkward rhymes and forced lines, ignoring the chorus, too much repetition, overcomplicating the lyrics, lack of emotional depth, inconsistent meter and rhythm, ignoring the audience, weak opening and closing lines, neglecting the melody. This is really good and thorough. This is the sort of thing you wanted to a real expert to know. Finally, we're going to finish off with an evaluation question. Remember, pair, prime, augment, refresh, evaluate. This is either going to expand or drill down or validate something. So in this case, I'm going to say, given everything we've talked about so far, what country music lyrics writing techniques or practices would a Grammy award-winning writer know that we haven't discussed yet? Right? What do we forget? What secrets or tricks of the trade would you add? And of course, we get some extras. Subtext and nuance, dynamic contrast, character development, unexpected twists, poetic devices, emotional resonance, collaborative writing, cultural and regional references, effective use of silence, iterative refinement, personal touch, storyboard and mapping, mindful word choice, bridging personal and universal, leveraging feedback and mentorship. Right? So this is all really good stuff. This is sort of the 4 stages of building out this conversation, following the pair framework, extracting a lot of knowledge from the model. You'll notice I haven't written huge prompts per se, but the conversation itself has been huge with lots and lots of detail. And this is the secret to our priming representation method. You don't have to bring all the knowledge. You can leverage what's in the model. And if you don't like that, you can upload your own. From here, we need to turn this into system instructions so that we can use this conversation over and over again, right? This is going to be the true priming representation, turning it into system instructions, because we want specific directions and detailed specifics. So I might say something like, building on everything that we have talked about, best practices, mistakes to avoid, tips and tricks, and overall great lyrics writing skills, create a high-level outline of the lyrics writing best practices, incorporating everything we've discussed so far. And what do we get? A nice high-level outline of all the stuff that we've talked about so far. Right? So all the pieces, nicely detailed, shortly detailed. Right? That's not a lot of depth. So what we want to do next is have the model write out each section. So in this case, I might say, now write a detailed outline of just section 1, foundation principles. And now it's going to expand on that outline and really capture all this knowledge. And we're going to repeat this over and over and over and over again, having it go through every section of our outline. So we have essentially a massive corpus, a huge prompt. This thing is the master prompt on writing country music lyrics. It's about 3,000 words long. And now you can use it over and over again. And that is the key. That is the value of a priming representation outline. Every time I want to accomplish this specific task, I can simply copy and paste my outline into the session and get up and running very quickly while still generating very high quality results, because we've done the work of building this master prompt. So let's put it to use, right? Let's go ahead and put this sucker to use here. I would start a new chat session and I say, you're a Grammy award-winning songwriter and so on and so forth. Here are the best practices. And we paste in this mega prompt, right, of all the best practices that we want the model to adhere to as it goes and does the task. Can you imagine how long it would take you to write this and not even necessarily knowing whether the model has this knowledge or not? But by priming it, we know it has this knowledge because it had to extract it out from its knowledge base in order to help us build the master prompt. That's why this works. Like I can then say, hey, I want you to write a country music song about a very specific annoyance. McDonald's makes fries, but they have this one really weird, annoying quirk. They're amazingly delicious and they're piping hot right out of the fryer. 2 minutes later, they're mediocre as they cool down. And 5 minutes later, and they may as well be eating moist cardboard. What is up with that? Why can't their fries be delicious for longer? It's so frustrating because instead of the dining experience becoming more enjoyable over time, it becomes less enjoyable. Now, what happens when we give the model this prompt? Fries that fade away. Meta love so deep at the golden arches door, golden crispy magic couldn't ask for more. But this romance, it ain't built to last. Those fries go cold, and the magic's in the past. And this goes on for some time. If you stick around to the end of today's episode, I'll put the music video in. There's a video at the end of the music video, and the single I'm going to put up on Spotify. It'll take a couple of weeks for it to come out, but if you like how it sounds, it'll be there. So here's the key point reiterated. That outline, that priming representation allows me to generate high quality results with a very short prompt. One paragraph that I gave it ordinarily would not be enough detail to create something really effective. But with a priming representation of very specific, clear details about all the best practices we collected, a one paragraph prompt is enough. Critically, I can take that priming representation and give it to a coworker, a colleague, or a friend, and they can be up and running with even less preparatory time. Right? I can say, hey, Katie, if you want to write a country song, here's the primary representation to get you up and running. And Katie could go and do that. This allows me to scale our AI practices much more quickly, much more robustly. And this is the reason why individuals and teams and companies aren't getting as much value out of AI as they could be. When you see that in the news, like can't recognize the value of AI, can't generate ROI, it's because you don't have these built systems with a solid process for building them around that are portable, that can create great results and then scale that by handing it out to people. That's how you create value with AI. If you really want to amplify the impact of AI, use the pair framework, use the race framework, along with the process that we just walked through, the silly process for country music, right? To build primary representations for your most valuable tasks. I have done this for things like ideal customer profiles, email marketing, SEO, corporate strategy, you name it. There's so many different ways to build primary representations. Constructing the representation takes time. It takes effort up front. You have to fact check it. You have to make sure it's thorough. But it saves you so much time and increases quality for every use of it after the first one, right? If I want to write another country music song, I can do it in seconds now, and it will be very high quality because it is incorporating all of the best practices and all of that knowledge in the primary representation, in that big outline. That's how you build scalable AI. As always, shameless plug, if you want help scaling your generative AI systems and processes like I did in this example, this is literally what my company does. So get in touch, hit me up, and we can do this as a workshop with your specific use cases and things. And if you want a country music prompt, let me know. All right. Let's talk about what else happened this week. This week we did a really fun live stream of rebuilding KDGPT, the priming representation, effectively, of Katie Robert, our CEO, and the things that went wrong and why you need to do this on a regular and frequent basis. Also covered things on the channel this week on, can sales create hot leads with generative AI? Spoiler, no. Why reliably wrong data is okay. How to make artificial general intelligence safe. Spoiler, it's not a concern. And whether you should disclose specific types of code. So lots of stuff to catch up on there. Let's talk about jobs this week. We have Amazon brand manager at Vario, campaign manager at Ubiquitous, digital marketing manager at Amora Marketing, Facebook ads manager at the Ad Girls, growth and lifecycle marketing manager at Artist OnGo, lifecycle marketing manager at Metrovane Centers, marketing manager at IT Associates, marketing manager at Midland Recruiters, marketing manager at Bolt, paid media manager at Anti-Agency Group, product marketing manager at Bright Horizons, senior demand generation manager at Alaris Acquisition, senior marketing manager at Influence Social, social media manager at AR Intervention, and senior marketplace advertising manager at Hinge Commerce. So lots of stuff to check out there. Upcoming events, getting ready for Marketing AI Conference in Cleveland in September. My talk there is going to be on open weights models, and boy, was it a big week for them. Google released its Gemma 2 models. I think it was the 7 billion and the 27 billion parameter models. So it was the 9 billion. Either way, the models are out in the wild, and they are reportedly performing very, very well, on par for the 27 billion parameter model with GPT, the original GPT-4. So that's pretty exciting, because a 27 billion parameter model you can run on your laptop. So that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time, and stick around for that country music song.
Metal love so deep at the golden arches door. Golden crispy magic, couldn't ask for more. But this romance, it ain't built to last. Those fries go cold and the magic's in the past. Oh, McDonald's fries, why can't you stay? You start out hot and you fade away. 2 minutes in, you're just okay. 5 minutes later, you're cardboard on my tray. First bite's heaven, can't believe my luck. But the clock is ticking, man, what the heck? I dream of fries that hold their charm, but I'm left with soggy sadness in my arms. Oh, McDonald's fries, why can't you stay? You start out hot, then you fade away. 2 minutes in, you're just okay. 5 minutes later, your cardboard on my tray. First bite's heaven, can't believe my luck. But the clock is ticking, man, what the heck. I dream of fries that hold their charm, but I'm left with soggy sadness in my arms. Maybe it's the salt or the grease that cools too fast. All I know is that this love, it just won't last. Can't you find a way to keep the love alive? Give me fries, but don't just survive. So I'll keep on dreaming of a better fry, one that stays golden, never says goodbye. Till then I'll savor those first few bites and curse the day they lose their life. So I'll keep on dreaming of a better fry, one that stays gold and never says goodbye. Till then I'll savor those first few bites and curse the day they lose their light.
If you disagree with me about the fries, let me know, but I'm pretty sure this is a universal complaint. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know when new videos are available, hit the bell button to be notified as soon as new content is live.